Hello. Today we're going to be going over how to download something from Source, port it over to Blender, and then finally port it over to Tailweaver, which is the app you use to make miniatures for Talespire. I'll go over 3 different ways from simple to normal to a little bit more difficult on ways to get the files in the first place. There's going to be 2 add-ons for Blender and 1 app I recommend, and we'll go over that as well. And then there's a few people I recommend watching for more details on these apps. We'll go over it all at once. So, let's start off with the add-ons for Blender. So we'll open this. Go to YouTube. The first app you're going to need, most important, is Source.io. You can search this up on Google if you want, but it's going to be called Source.io. And Open3D Lab does a great video. This is just taking Source and dropping directly into Blender, but they also have a video on how to find and install it. I'll leave a link to this video so that you can find it as well. Again, it's called Source.io, so if you search that in Chrome, you should also find it, or whatever your web browser is. The second one that's going to be really important is Matte Combiner, and we'll just do Blender add-on. I'll tell you why this is important. Airbnb does an amazing video
the texture
on it,
assigned by
and they go over like common issues addressed and everything. It's really good. So we're also going to need this add-on for Blender as well, and I'll drop a link for this video as well. So if you do download the add-on, you can excuse me, sorry. You can go through the troubleshooting. There we go. Third channel I would recommend is a person known as Lord Ashes. We're going to do Talespire. So, nope, I spelled it wrong. But they're extremely helpful. They have, as you can see, tons of videos about Talespire modding. They know all the ins and outs usually, and they helped me like at every step of the way when I was first learning this stuff. There's also the Talespire modding community, not the Talespire community, but the modding community Discord server. If you look in the Talespire Discord server, I'm pretty sure they have a link somewhere to the modding Discord. That's going to be where it's all about modding and stuff, and it's super helpful if you're just getting your feet wet and you want to know like, oh, how do I do this or that? So they're super friendly, they're super helpful, all kinds of stuff there. So let's get started. I'm going to go over, let's do this, this, and this. We're going to go over the 3 different ways. Actually, first I got that one app. The last app I recommend you get is VTF Edit. It's going to be this one. I'll drop a link for this as well. It's right here. What this does, I'll just say right now, and I'll explain it better later, but it takes your source files, because source comes in VVT, VMT, and then I think VTF, hence VTF, and those are the files source takes. Those are the ones that recognize. Problem is, Unity and Blender don't recognize those files. This converts an entire folder of those files, say our materials, into PNGs or JPEGs. I'm going to say this now, I'll tell you again later, but I recommend putting everything as a JPEG. PNGs, for some reason, I've noticed, at least with some of the models I've had, the PNGs just wash out all of the texture images, which makes things much more difficult for when you have to apply textures later on. So download this. I'm going to go over how to use this as well. So let's get back to finding our files. So there's 3 different ways you can get your files. So let's say this would be probably, I think it's called Source Labs, isn't it? Oh, is it not? What is it called? Is it not Source Labs? I should have looked this up beforehand. Source Film. Well, we're gonna learn together. I swear it was called Source Labs. Downloads. Oops, can't spell today. Wow, I really can't spell. mod. Game banana. No, it's not quite right. There is, have faith in me, a Source Filmmaker, unless they got rid of it. I don't think they would. What was it called? I can't think. Wasn't it? Source. Oh, maybe it's Source Labs? No, we just did Labs. Huh. Filmmaker. Oh, please excuse me. Maker mods website. Well, that was in 2018. So there is an app. There is a. It might be gone. I'm not sure. But there was a Source Filmmaker kind of website where you could get all your information or all your mods for. Oh, SFM Lab. Son of a gun. All right, SFM Lab. That's what it's called. I'll drop a link to this site as well. One big thing I should probably warn you about. SFM Lab is pretty, as you can see up here, it does have some NSFW stuff. The good news is the lab itself, when you first boot it up, there's a little thing here that says 18 plus. If you keep that unchecked, you're not going to see anything, any nudity or sexual content. Furry just kind of gets rid of furry things, but you can also uncheck that if you're looking for something in that tile. So let's see. I'm looking for Star Wars clones. I'm looking for one of their little hover tanks because I wanna model that over. Okay, so we don't have that. Let's try Star Wars. Let's see. All right, we got all kinds of Star Wars stuff. We've got look at all this stuff. All right, so we got that. We got that. We've got droid models. That does sound interesting. We might grab that. More droids. Carbonate models. So we're just looking again for that hover tank. They might have it here. They might not. I'm not sure. We've got some Battlefront ships. If you want to add those over, you can. Excuse me. Clone troopers. Let's see. We got a TIE fighter if we wanted. Does this have it? No, I don't think it does have it here. Let's go over to. Wow, lots of stuff, but not quite what we're looking for. One last time, let's check over here. It's always good to double check, triple check, quadruple check, and all that. Carbonite, Jedi survivors, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so doesn't have it. That's all right. SFM Labs is going to have a lot of really high quality stuff usually, because they don't really have a data limit like SFM Workshop does. So they can really, high quality models they've gotten their hands on and posted in them. But unfortunately, they don't have what we need. So we're just going to move on to the second step. If you did have this step, say we wanted to download all these droids. We have all these images. This is where you can check for more images. Wow, what a good image. It is decent. So then we would go here and we go, okay, we want this one. Actually, no, you don't want this one. You want this one. Oh, is it not? Oh, that might be why. So is this Source Filmmaker 2? I can show you how to do that as well, but I'm not familiar with it in itself with Source Filmmaker 2. So we'll take this one. This is Source Filmmaker 2? Really? Okay, hold on. Give me a second. All right. Do they not have... Let's just do models. All right, there we go. We're going to take... Here, this guy. Surely it's not Source Filmmaker 2. It's not. Awesome. So we would take this and we go, oh yeah, this is what we're looking for. Look at all those models. We go here. We click on this. It would say blank. Actually, let's just click here. And you, wherever your spot is, you click download, and it would download a file with all the models on it. We're not going to do that because this isn't what we're looking for, but it's good to remember. This is how you would download a file from here. we're going to go to, actually we're going to open up Steam. If we open up Steam, we go to Source Filmmaker. Here it is. If we open up the workshop and we do Star Wars. So the workshops tends to have a lot more stuff in it. Some of it not so high quality, like the SFM lab, but most of it's pretty good. And there's, again, a lot more stuff to look into or to work with. So we're going to go through here. I don't remember what the name of the hover tank was, and I don't even know if they would have it listed as what it is instead of just like hover tank. Here we go. The Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2 Enhanced TX 1830 prop. That's what we're looking for. You can see all the different effects it has and all the pieces and whatnot. We don't have to worry about this. So, if you want to do, this is going to be the normal way of SFM Labs, the easy way of getting files. This is the normal way. We're going to go to Steam Workshop. I might need to put a space there. Yep, downloader. Click here. The big thing we want to do is we want to go here, right click, copy page URL. Then we go here, and we just drop it right there. It's going to take a minute because it has to find the file through there. Hey, look, there it goes. And then if you click here, it'll take you to the page. If you click here, it'll automatically start downloading that file. As you can see, it downloaded right there. The third way is you'll have to folder dive. So if we look up Source Filmmaker Steam ID, it says its Steam ID is 1840. I don't believe that. If you've ever done this before, this is one of the ways you can find your mods and information there. Steam does it in a weird way. Well, I say weird, but it makes sense. So you would go, not Steam Library. We don't want to go to Steam Library. So we would go to probably local disk, right? Yeah. Or no, maybe local. Yeah, here we go. You would have to find your Steam folder, your like normal Steam folder. Then you want to go to, let's see, workshop up here. I think so. Steam apps maybe? Yeah. Then we want to go to workshop, content, and then you would have to find, if you knew where it was, oh, in that case, it would be, no, yeah, it would actually be right there. You would find the Steam apps, you'd find Steam apps, then you go to workshop, that's where you're going to be looking, content, and this is all the games that you have stored here. They go by their IDs. This says the ID for this is 1840. That's not true. Let's see if we can search up workshop. I don't know if it can find it. This kind of goes over what I was about to tell you, but yeah, if you find the number corresponding to your app, in this case it'd be SFM. I don't know it off the top of my head, and it's not giving me any simple options or answers. So you would then have to go, this is where it helps. So notice how I have 316179447. That's going to be the ID of the mod. So if we click on, let's see, if we click here, you've got all these IDs. If this was the Source Filmmaker one, I'd have to look for that ID. I double click it, and you would get pretty much the same as what we're going to get from our file here. That's how you can find it if you just want to subscribe through Workshop and go through that path. But if I would recommend this path or this way a lot more, just because you don't have to go file diving for anything, but it's up to you. So now that we've gotten over this stuff, we don't need this. We have the files. We don't need Steam anymore, and we're gonna open this up so that music doesn't keep playing. There we go. So here's what I recommend doing. You're gonna need 7-zip or WinRAR. Usually most people have that stuff, so it's not a big deal, but in case you don't have it yet, you should probably grab one of the other. I recommend 7-zip. Other people recommend WinRAR. It's up to you. We're going to make a new folder. We're going to call this Clone Tank. And this is just going to be where we put all our files as we go through them, so we have a spot to put them. So we're just going to go boop. And then we're going to open up our 7-zip, and most times you'll only get materials and models. That's all right. Sometimes you get a third option. I don't remember what it's called, maybe effects. It really depends on the modder and what they titled it. As long as it doesn't have your model or your materials in it, normal maps, texture maps, diffuse maps, I think it is, you don't have to worry about it. So we're just going to drag and drop those. There we go. If we look at materials, we're going to see vehicles, TX, and here's the problem. We have VMT, VTF, VMT, VTF, yada, 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 all the way through. These are source files. We can't read them. Blender can't read them. Nobody can read these except for source games and apps. So we need to convert these. This is where that, let's boot it up. Where is it? VTF. This is where VTF edit comes into play. We're going to go here. We're going to boot it up for whatever your system. I use 64. Others probably, I don't know. If you're better with this stuff, you'll know what you're doing. We go to Clone Tank. And what we're going to do is we're going to, let's see, right here. Here we go. We don't need the anymore. So we're going to go find our file. So let's see, it should be under C, users, public downloads. Nope, that would be under owner. Whoopsies. Downloads. Yeah, okay, so here's our little file here, Clone Tank. We're going to open that up. Hey, look, got all those materials. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the materials. We're going to do tools, convert. I was just looking for them. You don't have to actually go. So we go up to tools, convert folder, input folder. We're going to look over here, Clone Tank materials. And then we're going to do an output folder in the Clone Tank section. I'm just going to make a new one. And this will be called VTF or converted materials. You don't have to name it this. You can name it whatever. This is just where we're going to store all those materials. So, oh, I didn't do it. What a shame. Okay, whatever. I'll rename it when we get there. So, you have, here's where things come up. So this is to VTF. That's if, I'm guessing it's a PNG or JPEG. You want to convert it to something that source can read. You would click that. To JPEG, PNG, whatever. That's, again, if we're trying to convert from source to something that most other apps can read. We're going to do this. Now you're going to see JPEG and PNG. You want to do JPEG. I went over this before, but I was working on some models and I was having some weird texture issues. And it turns out that PNG sometimes, for whatever reason, just gets rid of like half of the picture. And so the program doesn't know where those models like pieces go. So you'll get like weird black spots where you shouldn't. It's just really strange. I'm not sure why, but JPEG doesn't have this issue. So we're going to convert. I think it's maybe slightly lower quality, but again, we're doing this for Talespire. It's not like too large, so it's not a big deal. So we're going to close, and we're going to close that. That's all we need to do for let's see, models, vehicles. Yeah, okay, cool. That's all we need to do for VTF. Once you do it once, you're fine. We're going to do converted materials. And we're just going to get rid of this other one because it's not important to us. Models. So just double check. Go here. Okay, TX. And that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for these weird, gunky images that, you can't really make heads or tails of. So this will be your... actually, I don't even know if they have a normal map for this one. You have your... I think this is your normal map. But yeah, normal map A. And then... or yeah, I'm not sure, but so this is what it is. This is what we're looking for. Now that we have these, we're all set and ready to go. So I'm not going to explain how to import or pick a file or an add-on from Blender because it's not too difficult. I might. We'll see in a second here. Oh, I keep clicking the wrong thing. Look at me go. Alrighty, let me go here. You don't need it to be the Blender from Steam. It's not that important. It could be the app itself. It's just your call. Alrighty. Have to wait for it to boot up. We're going to delete everything here. Alright. So if you don't have the add-ons, but you've downloaded the add-on, you don't know how to add it, if you go to Preferences and you go to Add-ons, Install, it'll bring this up, and if you go to your downloads, you'll have them there. You just click them and add. Just to go over this one more time, what you're going to need is you're going to need Material Combiner, and you're going to need, where is it? That's weird, I don't see it. I must be blind. Oh, here it is. Yeah, source IO. These are the two add-ons you absolutely need for this to work. So once we go here, there's also, so I showed you how to get the VTX textures via using VTF. There is one other way to do it, but the thing is, it automatically converts this to a JPEG. I don't know if, or not JPEG, PNG. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, or if there's a way to change that so it's JPEG instead of PNG. But for now, we're just going to go over the secondary way to do it if you want. So we're going to go clone tank. We're going to go models, Battlefront vehicle TX model. We're not going to click this, but we will click this later on if we want to later on for other reasons. So we click this. You're going to have to give it a minute. Blender's loading everything up. There we go. There's our little tank. If we press Z, we click on render. We turned off our lights, so what we do is we go to this world tab, and we just turn it up, and hey, look at it. It looks great. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this model. So we're going to go, or save this thing. Right? Click the Blender, save. And we're gonna, it's got us stuck in Battlefields right now, but don't worry about it. We'll go clone tank, and we'll just name this tank. Clone tank. .blend. There you go. See, it's all done. We're gonna click save. And the reason why we do this is because we're packing the files to the Blender, or to the save. So right now, all these files are now saved to Blender. What we can do then is we can open, we're gonna reopen it up. There we go. You can tell it's reopened because all the settings go back to defaults. And then we're going to go File, Export, or sorry, not Export, External Data, Unpack Resources. Use files in current directory, whatever. I haven't noticed much of a big difference. What this does is when you boot up your downloads, you should get, within some time, unless it was, yeah, okay, so it did it here. What happens is it makes a folder called textures, and this is going to have all of the textures for the for whatever object you've placed in there. For example, the tank blend, the clone tank, these are all the textures. They look exactly the same as they are converted materials. They just don't have this huge hierarchy to go through. But remember, let's actually open this one up. So we have this one. If we compare them, they might be the same. It might just depend on. Boot that one up. They look about the same. So in this case, it's not a big deal. Nothing really changed. But with some models, like half of the, actually, yeah, no. So half of the model is just weirdly gone. I don't understand why. I don't get it. But I almost always recommend you just pick the JPEG instead of this PNG. But if you want to do PNG, that's the second way to get your textures out. It's technically easier, but it comes with the cost of possibly having to do PNG or work with PNGs. Okay, so we're going to do file. We're going to do new, and we're just going to not save. The whole reason we did that was just to pack the files and then unpack them so that we got a folder with all the textures in them. So we don't need any of that right now. So what we're going to do, and this is when we start actually doing stuff. Source engine, assets, gold source, source model, dot model. We're going to find our tank again. Oops, I didn't put. Also, I recommend if you're going to be doing, if you're going to be going into the textures quite a bit, which you will be if you're converting things, what you want to do is you want to go to, let's see, clones, converted materials, models. Oh, we can't do it for this one, but I'll show you in a second. What? Why not? Hold on. Oh, there we go. It was stuck there. Yeah. So once you find your model, this is the second time, we're going to use Blender Vertex Lit Generic Shader. What this does is it applies the Blender texture, and it allows you to change the material easier than before. And we're going to have to change the material. So we're going to import it. Blender's going to take its sweet time. There we go. Remember Z render so that we can know that the textures are working. It'll take a second to load it all in. If you don't really care, you don't have to do this, but this is really helpful for when you're working with other stuff. Okay, why is it so washed out? Was it always this washed out? I don't remember. All right, so we have our model. Here's what we're gonna do. Press N, and then N as in NATO or nature. We're going to go to Mat Combiner right here, and we're going to click Generate Material List. We're going to have all these materials. If you click on them right now, you're going to notice if you click on the little like setting bar or socket, you're going to notice that it's 32 by 32. This isn't good. We don't want it to be small size textures. This is, again, why we ripped all those textures out. So what we're going to do is, because if we want to save the atlas to blank, it won't do this. If we click it right now, it's just going to delete all the textures, and this is going to lose all its textures. So Control Z, nothing to panic about, and we're going to go to our right, TX 130. We've got all these thrusters and stuff, so we're just going to go click on this. This is our object. We're going to click down to this little circle. That's our materials. And we're going to notice it says Surface Vertex Lit Generic. We're going to click on the green circle. We're going to change that to Principled BSDF. Then we're going to go down to the base color. And you're going to notice, you'll know it's working because suddenly a bunch of textures kind of just disappear. We're going to go to base color. We're going to press on the yellow circle. We're going to go image texture. Now we're going to click open. We're going to go over to here. We're going to go to our downloads, clone tank, converted materials, models, Star Wars Battlefront, vehicles, TX-130. Here's something I recommend doing. Once you get to a spot where you have all your textures for the object, you want to go over here and click add bookmark. This makes it so when you go to access this again, you can just go right here, click there. You don't have to go through any hierarchies. So here's how this works. We know that we're looking for texture TTTX130 back 01CS. So what we have to do is we have to find TTX130's back 01CS. So we look for this. That's charge. Nope. Back CS. That's what we're looking for. So we click there, open image, and hey, look, it ported over nice and smooth. So we're just going to do that with every single material. Principle BSDF, sorry. Base color, image texture, open. Remember, we put a bookmark, so we just post TX130, and we're looking for TX130 front. Oh, so we go front CS. There we go. Click open texture, and there we go. We're re-adding the textures, but in JPEG form. This way, it's something that Unity can read. Most of the time, we're looking for Unity. So you might notice with some of your like different objects in this that it does TX and you don't have to do anything. Some objects use the same texture for different parts of the model. That's all right. That's fine. You can tell that it's been fixed is because the surface is a principled BSDF and that the base color has JPEG at the end of it. So we'll do other guns and we'll know that's okay. So that's that. We already remember placing back, and now we have charge. We haven't done charge yet, so we're going to do vertex, principled, then we're going to go to image, go to this. While we do this, let's see, charge. So some some models are going to have like different effects that you can do. Like for example here, we have these rocket launchers. If we didn't want these rocket launchers, we could just press the icon and it makes them disappear. But what you want to do if you say you wanted to get rid of it is you click right click it, and then there's delete hierarchy. It'll just get rid of everything in there. Then you don't got to worry about it. So you wouldn't have to add so many different like effects to everything or material swapping if you had to. But if you want to keep something, that's how you would keep it. So for example, if you were doing a clone trooper and he had a backpack, usually there would be a new collection with his backpacks and they'd all be enabled at once. You just delete the backpacks you don't need and you're all set. So here we go. We have TX130 back. We've already done that. We can tell it's principled BSDF, but you can see that there's still some white. So we're going to do side. Vertex lit generic. Switch it to principled. We're going to do base color image, and then we're just going to look for TX130, and we're going to do side, that one. So we're all done pretty much. If we do this, we can generate all the images, and it says 2040 by whatever amount, 2040, 2040, 2040. It's good to always double check this. Once you finished or you think you're finished, go through it again. If anything's like 48 or by 48 and you can't change it or fix it, then that's just not going to work for that model. So we have our little gunner's tank here. If this was a model that had like opposable limbs, actually it kind of does have some bones, so I'll show you how to do that. So we have the TX130 here. If we click on the little dude, we've clicked on its bone structure. This is where we kind of like pivot everything and move things. If it was a body, this is where we'd move the legs and stuff. If you go up to here, object, and you click pose mode, we can now pose all those bones. They're hard to see, but you can pose the bones. Here's what I recommend doing. If you're new to modeling / posing and stuff, I'd recommend doing this, or it just makes things easier. I'm from Source, so this is kind of how it's built in Source. So we're going to click Transform Orientations Local. What this does is instead of it, your widgets being to true north or true X, Y, and Z, it's going to be to the orientation of whatever thing you're clicking on. You'll see in a second. The second big thing we're going to click is we're going to go onto this one, the one with the arrow and the circle, the little widget bar. They call them gizmos. And we're going to click on rotate. This will show you the rotations of all the bones when you click them. So if we click this now, we can see there's a little widget here, and you can use the widget to rotate the guns up and down. So if we want it to be like shooting up, this is how we do that. If we wanted to shoot sideways, we could do that too. Just keep in mind that some models aren't meant, and if you just pay attention to it, you'll kind of notice it. Let's see. So we've got that thing, but like, this gun could probably aim a little bit to the right, but you can't like do something like this. Well, you could if you wanted to, but it's not going to look quite right. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to reset that. So, and then there's always like a root bone, and that's the whole orientation of the ship itself, or whatever object you're working with. So we're just Control Z, and that's that. So this is a hover tank. It's supposed to float. What we're going to do right now is we're actually going to just kind of leave it like this, because in Talespire, if you've messed with miniatures, there is a effect called flying. I'm just going to let this kind of sit like that so that it's like on the ground. And then if the player clicks flying, it'll float up a few feet. And then they'll be able to use that as a like, oh, it's on. I don't know if that's going to look good. I've not tried this yet. But if you didn't want to, it's no worries. We don't have to worry about the model and it's like how close it is to the like true ground in this in Blender, because we can edit that all in Talespire. So we've got the textures remapped. We've got everything set and running. So material combiner. I haven't explained what that's for. This makes a thing called an atlas. Tailsweaver has a weird thing where you can only upload 3 pictures for textures. It will be your, I think they call it albedo texture, probably wrong, but albedo texture, your normal map, and then I think it's a roughness texture or something similar. All 3 of those have to be only, for each one, you can only post 1 image. So again, we had a bunch of materials all together. We have like 6 or 7, right? We can't post them all at once. So we have to combine them. That's what Mat Combiner is, Material Combiner. That's what it stands for. So we're going to click Save Atlas 2. And if you've done it right, it'll pop this up. So we're going to go to TX130. Nothing's here because we're saving this as a atlas file, so it's not going to show anything. We're just going to click Create Atlas. There you go. It's going to take a minute or two to just get everything and put it, export it. You'll notice that this flashed and some of these things disappeared. That's all right. With some models, it'll like suddenly like get rid of some of the textures. That's all right as well. Here's something to keep in mind. If you're going to pose a model, pose it before you make the atlas. The way this works is the Mat Combiner will edit the model so that its atlas fits to the model. So if you move that model even slightly, the atlas isn't going to match with the model and it's going to look really wonky. So make sure you pose your model before you make its atlas. Alrighty. Now the last step we have to do in Blender is we have to go to File, we have to go down to Export, and we're going to export this as a wavefront or dot object. There we go. We're going to go TX130. There's no other objects in this folder, that's why we're not seeing anything. And we're just going to click tank, or we're going to write tank object export. Let's see, double check, make sure it's exported. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit out of Blender. We don't need to save it. It's not important anymore. And then what we can do is we can refresh this. Oh boy. Why did it not download? Is it somewhere else? Materials. Should I download them to the Atlas? Huh. That's peculiar. Where was it saving it to? Huh. Alright, let's go back. Because now we have to figure out what happened. That's where everything gets fun. So we should be able to, if you do this, you should be able to bring it back open. If we look at Mac Combiner, generate list, everything's 32. So this is the old version. Okay. So no worries. This happens sometimes. We're going to go through this real fast. I wonder if it's maybe, could be. Go to materials. We're going to do vertex generic. We don't want generic. We want this. We want image. And then we're going to do this. We're going to do open. Clone tank. Converted materials. Clone tank. Yeah, converted. We're going to go converted materials. Battlefront. Yeah. TX 180. Perfect. Oh, that's why. I'm dumb. We dropped in the TX 130. We didn't drop in the normal folders. We did the TX 130 file. So if we close this, that's why you got to be paying attention to your files and everything. Models, Star Wars, Battlefront, vehicles, TX 130. Here we go. Here's the model. Here's their tank. And here's our Atlas. We're going to rename this Atlas to Tank Atlas. So usually when you're doing something, pay attention to where you're dropping those files off, because they could just be dropped. Like, for example, I dropped it where the materials were. It's not a big deal. It's not going to ruin anything. It's just something to keep in mind so you don't get too lost, which is why I made that whole clone tank file location so that I could just put everything in there, but I forgot to actually click on it and use it. So, woe is me. So we're going to boot up Unity hub. If you search up Tailweaver Lit or guide, it'll teach you how to install Unity Hub with the proper version of Unity, and it'll teach you how to install Tailweaver itself. It's not too hard. Just click here, add project, Tailweaver Master, whatever it's called, and then you just click it. It'll take a minute because it has to install a whole version of Unity, but just click here and let it load. Other than this, is there anything else I should explain? We'll go over Tailweaver and the basic functions in a second here. But other than this, you're pretty much in the home stretch. The Tailweaver stuff is by far the easiest stuff. The posing and the texture swapping tends to be the part that takes the longest for me. I recommend when you go to do models, you just restart Blender, do a new model, and then move on. And then if you want to make, like, say, a clone trooper. If you want to make a clone trooper with a gun, clone trooper, and then you want to import a source model of the gun or the model of the gun, and then you want to repack or save, so you repack and then unpack, and then you're set. If you don't do that, the guns file won't be part of the Atlas, and then everything gets all funky. So you always want to make sure you have all the materials together when you unpack them, or all the objects in the same scene as you unpack them. So we're going to delete Charles here. This was from a tutorial that I did that didn't work out very well because one of the models has a small map for normals, texture map, and it just wasn't working well. I'll have to look into that some later. So we're going to do assets. We're going to, first let's get our stuff in the game. So we're going to do assets. We're going to do import new asset. We're going to go find, let's see, that's our droid. So we're going to go up here. We're going to go clone tank. We're going to do converted materials, because remember, we put them here on accident. Go all the way through. TX1 We're going to do tank. This is the picture for our model. It'll look like this. This is the emblem it'll look like. And if you hover over it, it'll say 3D object. And then tank Atlas. Again, that's our textures that we've taken from all of these and we've put them together. Well, not all of these, but these guys. So we're going to click import. It's going to take a second. Unity takes a minute. Again, depending on where you install your Unity, I put it on my D drive instead of my C drive. It's faster on your C drive because it's easier to access, but I don't want to put space on there, so. Alrighty. All right, so we've got our tank and we've got our tank atlas material. So we're going to scroll up. It's going to say mesh. This is going to be the object itself. We're going to click default, and would you look at that? That's our little tank. You'll notice it's all gray and kind of boring. That's because we haven't added the texture yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the albedo texture. And we're going to click here. We're going to go to tank atlas, and there you go. That's all you got to do. You're going to notice it says texture's not readable. That's all right. We're going to fix that in just a second. There's one thing I need to let you know. Vertex count. So there is a hard limit of 42,000. I'm not sure. This is like 6,000 or something. If you go over that vertex count, say you got a guy with a gun and a radio and all this other really high vertice things, it'll let you know, and it won't be able to port it over. What you have to do is you have to click reduce mesh complexity, and you'll see this little quality like bar. You can move it back and forth, and it'll change it in real time so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, the lower quality we go, the worse the turret starts to look, or the worse the model will look. And that's just kind of how it works. It'll also show you kind of like areas where it's deleting them or there's been a lot of issues, and you'll start missing vertices and stuff. So just keep that in mind. We don't need to do that though, because our model in itself is below the minimum. Again, if it's just over, moving it just slightly lower will fix it, and usually I've not had any issues with that. But if it's like way over, you're gonna have to figure out something to do with that. There's ways on Blender to lower the vertices. There's also that. We're gonna name this tank, because that's what it is. It's a tank. So back to textures. It says texture is not readable. Attempt to change texture import settings to fix the issue. Just click that. I haven't had any issues with this yet. This hasn't gotten rid of any problem or gotten rid of any... sorry if you can hear that mowing in the background. This hasn't made any issues with materials and whatnot, so we don't have to worry about that. If you scroll down, you'll see default scale. What this is, we're going to click show creatures for scale. This shows us the scale of this object from straight ahead compared to other things. So to a normal human, it's about as tall as a normal human. Now, I don't know if that's true. If we look on Google, TX, what was it, 106? Star Wars. We can see that these are a little bit bigger than that. Wow, it's not really many. Let's do clone tank. Hover tank. See if there's just gotta be more images of this thing. I mean, we could use Legos as a reference, but I wouldn't recommend it. They're Lego. They're gonna be a little bit rough. Is there really no art of a clone trooper by this? No, not really. Okay, so unfortunately for this case, we don't have a reference of a clone trooper next to one of these, so we can't really tell. Maybe if you've played the games, you know what they, any games or watched maybe the shows have shown them. But I'm going to say this is a little small for what the TX is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be probably like twice as big. So default scale. This is how big it spawns. This is its like default scale. So if we turn it to a 2.0, we can see that it's way bigger than the Bard we were working with, and it's probably it dwarfs the dragon. So it turns out maybe default scale is not what we were looking for. So we're gonna go back to 1. So you see how it says like 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't really have a lot of options when it comes to this. That's okay. We can change the scale itself right off the bat. So if we click our model, we have all these little widgets and gizmos. This is just to make it go up. So if we wanted it to act like it was hovering just off the top without having to click like flying or whatever, we just move it up a little bit off the base. So now it's kind of like floating. We're just going to leave it on the ground. Rotating, and then the scale tool. This is important. This will scale it wide. This will XYZ, long, all that stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to click on the white cube, and we're just going to scale it up just a bit. Just about there. I think that's good. We're going to move the widget because remember it scales up, so we need to make sure it's touching the ground and not going through the ground. And let's see, middle mouse to pan, shift middle mouse to pan faster, shift right click to kind of like move your mouse, and that's pretty much all you need to know. Let's see, maybe we can move it a little bit higher. No, it's just about there. Again, you can look over here to see if it's like clipping through the floor. I'm pretty happy with that. If we compare it to the Barbarian, it's about as big as a Barbarian. It's about a little bit higher than a normal human standing up, and I think that's fair. They have a whole thing here about it. Its feel just needs to be important, and that's pretty much the gist of it. As long as it feels like it would fit and be good, then you're set. Head target. So this is going to be wherever the head of the model is, and you can see this little widget that's give us. If you lose it, just click on head target again, and it'll bring it back up. We're going to put that right about here. So like it says, inside head, wherever the eyes are the equivalent. So this is going to be, the viewpoint ports of the tank. So we'll just put it straight in the middle there. Spell target. This is going to be where, like if you do a spell effect or something, this is where they shoot out of. These give examples like point of wand or whatever. Unfortunately, ours has 2. I don't think you can copy it, so we're just going to leave it on one of the gun barrels. We'll do the left gun barrel. It's not that important, but if say this had 1 cannon, we would just put it on that 1 cannon. But since it has 2 gun barrels, we're just gonna have to pick a favorite and move. So right about there, and we'll just do it at the very tip of it. There we go. All right, awesome. Hit target, and this is going to be about the inside / like core of the machine. So we're going to do something like this and there. So that's going to be, we'll do something like this. There we go. So this is inside the human chest or whatever equivalent for a non-human. So we'll just say like the center mass of the machine. So this for the tank would be like right here. Maybe we can move it up just a little bit. We want to make sure it's still inside it. We don't want it to be outside of it. So we'll do something like that. Yeah, sure, we'll leave it there. And then torch target. This is when you click torch on it, that like little light that shows up. This says a little bit above the head and to the front, arm's length. Of course, this doesn't have arms, so we'll say about like there and right there. What that does is this is where that light that when you click torch is generated, this is where it's gonna show up. So we'll make it a little bit higher because this is a big object. Next thing is thumbnail camera. When you click on that, same as a spell target and all that other stuff, a little widget shows up. If you click these little guys, this is going to be, the thumbnail camera is going to be what we use when you click on the model in Talespire. This is what you're going to see. It doesn't have very long range. Interesting. I've never had a problem like that before. So it doesn't have a very long LOD or loading of distance. DOL? No, I don't know. I don't know. So we're going to have to kind of work with that. We have a really big machine here. So we'll just have to kind of MacGyver this a little bit. And usually you can give it a straight shot if you want. But I like to make mine a little bit creative and rotate them. Remember, it's an object, so we can rotate it if we want. And stuff like that. So we're just going to... What we're going to actually do is we're just going to make it, we're going to be boring, give it a flat look. There we go. Look at them. Let's rotate that a little bit, flatten it out a little bit. There we go. Unfortunately, we can't really, because of how big the model is, we can't get the whole picture of the model. Because if we go like that, it doesn't work. So we're just going to do something like that. Or maybe what we could do, if we rotate it 180 down, use our blue, we go like that, do something like this. Can we do this? No. So again, with bigger objects, it's going to be difficult. You're just going to have to figure out what would, the main key is you want it to be readable so that whoever's placing these can be like, I know what that is, but you've already named a tank, so they can just read that. Here's an important thing. Photo camera is going to be, if you swap this over to, say mod.io, this is how you would do that. This would be you would click save, export to mod.io, and then there's a whole other stuff you got to do. I don't know it, uh, how to do it in. I'm not actually sure how to do it in. I've never done mod.io, so I won't know. We've noticed that we can't save it, and that's because the creature extends too far in the x-axis and the y-axis. So we have to go to scaling. Some objects are just going to be too small. That's all right. The player can always... Is this x-axis? It is x-axis. Holy... Okay, they just don't want us to... So what we're going to do is we're going to make it tiny. And it still doesn't work. Okay, all right. Push it back up to 1.5. And we're just going to... Z-axis. Really? Okay. So if that happens, what you're going to have to do is you're just going to have to... actually, what we could have done is we could have just small. There we go. There we go. All right. So if your model's too big, it'll let you know, and then you've got to kind of go with tiny's model. But I wonder if that's why we have it. So can we do 1.3? What's 3 look like? Yeah, we can do 3. I don't think 3's bad. It's about the size of a dragon. Let's see. I think I want it to be a little bit smaller. Size, it's a little bit lower than a human. Maybe. Again, normally we would scale it up, but the problem is when we scale it up, it gets a little bit too big. So if we scale it up, see, too far in the z-axis. So keep that in mind, is if the model's too big, you're going to have to MacGyver it and kind of figure it out. So this we're going to do is default scale 2. When the player gets in Talespire, they can just make it bigger, and it's not a big deal. There's ways around this. So this is our little tank, and it's just about touching the floor. It might actually be clipping in the floor a little bit. Let's make sure it's not. So yeah, that's good. All right, so we have everything set up. We can now got 2 last things. GUID. This is how Talespire kind of saves. Like, this is what this looks like. You need to make sure every time you make a new creature that you click new. If you don't, everything's going to have the same GUID. It's not a big deal. You can overwrite it with new GUIDs. I'll show you how in a second. But just make sure you do that, because what I did was I made a bunch of models and I didn't change the GUID. So when I imported them all over, there was only one model it gave me, and it was the latest one. So I was panicking, but it turns out, thanks to Lord Ashes for teaching me how, you can just refresh the GUID, and I'll show you how. So first, let's click this, save. We have to decide where we're going to save it. We're not going to make the folder mistake again. We're just going to go down to clone tank. We're going to name this clone tank. Nope, tank. There we go. We're going to click save. There we go. Now we have this GUID. I'm not going to say it all out loud, but you can see it. Say that we accidentally made 2 models and this one's copying the other one. What we want to do is click clone creature with new ID. If we want to refresh, so to say, refresh the GUID it's given, click on clone tank.tsmod. This is the actual mod folder, or the actual model for Talespire. We click on that. We click save. We haven't changed the name at all, so it's going to say it's going to overwrite it. We're going to click OK. It's going to say error, yada yada. It's the same thing, different ID. The reason why is because it just refreshed the ID. Again, if you have 2 models and they have the same GUID, just click clone creature, select the model you're working with at the time, and then it'll say give it a new ID error, and you've given it a new ID. After that, we don't have to save because it's already saved it with the new ID. Now we're going to exit out of this. We don't have to save. Again, it's really good just to drop something in, finish it, move on. We're just going to shut this down. Unity's going to take its sweet time. We're going to close this. We're going to close this. We don't need Blender. What we need to do is Talespire. So you've made the model. It's ready to go. There's nothing you got to worry about. At this point, it's just some quick file maneuvering, and you're set to go. So we're going to boot up Talespire whenever it wants to load. There we go. It's going to take a minute. Oh boy. Bouncy rock. Sorry again for the mowing in the background. we're going to use this as my template just to test stuff out. Let it load, let it load. Let's see, will it show us? Where is it going to place us? Of course, my map's a little bit bigger, so you're going to have some issues with the loading. I'm going to mute for just a second. Actually, no, we're all done. We're pretty much done. So, what you're going to want to do, we've got our clone guys here and a droid. We're going to go to settings. We're going to scroll all the way down to open settings directory. Sorry again. And then this is gonna be where we want to drop our stuff into the local content packs. As you can see, here's all those clones you just saw and the droid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up our downloads, we're gonna find downloads, open that up, clone tank. Remember, we put the TS mod in here. So we're gonna click here and we're gonna just move that over to here. The TS mod extension turns it into a file type TS mod. And all you have to do is you have to just drop it in there. And then if we look over to here, click OK. The cool thing is it updates on the fly. It takes a second, but if we go to creatures, evil, you'll see other. So community is going to be any of the mods you've downloaded over the span using the community mods for creatures. So if you download anything here, that's where it comes from. And they'll be saved to your community tab. If we go down to here and we click local, this is going to show us we didn't fix our thumbnail after we changed the scale of it. So that's what happens. So you just got to keep that in mind. Local is where all those, the mods that you've made yourself or ported over go. And click this guy right here and look at him. Now our clones have a cool little battleship. If we click this and click enable flying, that doesn't look so bad. So now it does hover, and it looks kind of like a hover tank. So I can click flying again, and now it looks like it's kind of turned off. Here's the torch. Again, we didn't change it to the scaling, so it's way out of whack. Just keep that in mind. Status, if we knock it down, it looks a little silly, but that's all right. Emotes, enable flying, GM tools, torch. I wonder, can we... No. Is there a way, status, knock down, hide, tools, kill menu, enable flying? No, okay. There used to be a way to make things bigger, and I wonder if it won't let it. Let's see, tax, more enable flying, kill menu, GM tools. Oh, it might be under GM tools. What am I doing? Let's do GM tools. Yeah, okay, so this would be how you make it bigger. We can make it like a huge... So again, if you can't get it the right size the first time, it might just be you have to mess with the GM tools later. So don't worry too much about it. We're going to do 2x2, I think, so the original size. And then, let's see, is there an attack? Morse, and flying, GM tools. No, there's not. Interesting. I wondered why. It might be, you know what it is, I bet. So, remember, we scaled it down to fit. We didn't change any of the boxes, like the torch box, the spell spot, the hitting thing. So they're probably completely, I mean, maybe it's there, but I'm not seeing it. They're completely out of whack. So if we tell this guy, hey, you get to do an attack, let's say a red laser. Oh, okay, so that's how that works. You select the thing, and then that's your selected thing. Where did that laser shoot from? Status. Then we're going to do attack. Where's it? Attack. Oh, okay, it wasn't too far off, but yeah. So that's good to keep in mind. Just to test this and see where does it shoot for the attack. Okay, so center. So it's not too bad of a difference, but still, remember if you're scaling things, double check your models, like hitboxes and everything to make sure they're all right. Other than that, that's it. That's all you need to do in order to port an SFM model to Talespire. Again, it's going to be more tricky with human models because you have to pose them and like make them look good if you want. But for things like vehicles and tanks, nice and simple. That's pretty much everything. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, ping me in the Discord modding, Talespire modding Discord, or in the comments below. And if you're having trouble, let me know, and hopefully I'll be able to help you. I won't be available all the time or often, but if I do have a chance, I will help you as I can. Thanks for watching.